Hey, what's up everybody? It's Jordan Bruce from the Puffco Group, and today I'm going to show you how to take apart your Puffco Peak Pro in order to deep clean it. This isn't going to be for your regular maintenance or regular weekly cleaning or anything like that. This is going to be for when you've had your Peak Pro for a while and you're starting to get some built up gunk and reclaim underneath the silicone, like we've got just a little bit of right around here. You can see it starting to build up underneath. If I can get some light on that. And I'm going to show you how to take the Peak apart so that we can clean that. So a few things that you'll need before we get started is obviously the Peak Pro base. We don't need the top or the atomizer on it right now, so we'll just remove those for the rest of the video. You'll also need some isopropyl alcohol. I use 99%, but if you've only got 91 or even 70 in your area, that will work as well for what we're doing in this video. A small flathead screwdriver, as well as a precision screwdriver with a couple of different bits. A Phillips head and a small hexagonal Allen head. So that's all you'll need for it, and we'll get into it. So the first thing that we're going to want to do as soon as we take off the top and the atomizer is remove this metal band from the base on the Peak Pro. The only real difficulty here is the fact that the charge port here is a completely separate piece, and you basically have to just wedge the metal band up over the charge port, and that's really the only thing stopping you from taking it off. So you have to get a small flathead screwdriver like I've got here, and this part's a little bit nerve-wracking, but basically you just have to slip the end of the screwdriver underneath the metal and just wedge it on up, and the metal band will come off. So I'm going to do that now. Stick the screwdriver underneath like this, and then just continue to wedge it up until it pops up like that. There might be a little bit of glue underneath here, but it's really dry and brittle. So you might have to just work it a little bit in order to take it off, but it just comes right off like that. So the next thing we're going to want to do after taking off the metal band is to remove the silicone sleeve from the base of the Peak Pro. You can see this one's already got a little bit of oil and reclaim around the atomizer connection. And this is only after about 1,500 dabs, so you can imagine if people have thousands of dabs in their Peak and they've never done this, it's probably pretty built up by that point. So taking off the silicone sleeve is pretty easy. You just have to start at the bottom and just roll it up just a little bit. There is a really small quantity of dry, brittle glue, again, holding this thing in place just around the base. You can see that tiny bit of glue right there. This one's not offering me much resistance as I go around it. And just roll your way around it with your thumb, like this, till you've gone in a full circle. There we go. And now I just have to roll this up and take it off, and we'll see how much oil's under there. So start like this. And as you take off the silicone sleeve, you're going to want to be really careful not to snag the atomizer connector on the silicone. So I haven't done that part yet, but here we are. I want to avoid, when I pull this thing off like this, catching this. So I'm going to try to kind of loosen up the front here, pull this off first like that. And then I'm just going to remove the rest of the silicone. Just like that. And there you go. That's how much oil we've got built up under there. So again, you can imagine if you've had your Peak for thousands of dabs, you've probably got quite a mess under here. So we'll get to cleaning that up. Okay, so now that we've got the silicone sleeve off the Peak, we can see how much oil and reclaim was really built up under there. So the next thing is to actually clean it. So we've got some of this 99% isopropyl alcohol, and I've got a couple of Q-tips, and we're just going to clean it. Dip in the ISO. and just run that over anything with oil or reclaim on it. Make sure to get around your atomizer connector. And everywhere around the whole area that is most exposed whenever you're taking a dab. Also, don't forget to get on the inside of the silicone sleeve, hard to see again in this lighting, but right underneath in here, there's going to be a little bit of oil and reclaim as well, so you'll want to make sure that you clean that up and get rid of all that oil before you put the sleeve back on. So now that our Peak Pro base and silicone sleeve are looking nice and clean like new again, I wish it were as easy as putting the silicone sleeve back on, putting the metal band back on, putting the atomizer and glass back on, and going back about your dabbing. I wish it were that simple. It's a little bit more complicated than that, and that is because of this little plastic piece around the charger port. You see how it flares out there at the end like that? That makes it very difficult to put the metal band back on this way without damaging that piece of plastic. It goes in much easier if you put it in after you've put the metal band back on. So that little plastic piece comes out, but in order to get it out, we need to use our precision screwdriver to remove a couple of screws from the base so we can split the base plastic just enough to take out that piece of plastic here around the charger port. So we'll do that now. So in order for us to remove this little plastic piece from around the charging port, the first thing we have to do is take this little silicone circle off the bottom of the Peak. And it's basically like a sticker, so it's pretty easy to take off. I usually just take the dabber that came with the Peak and just wedge it underneath like this, and then just peel it up, like I said, like a sticker. And there's 4 little feet under here that are covering up these screw holes for these, there we go, for these little 6-sided precision screws. And this is a little bit inconvenient because I know not everybody has one of these precision screwdrivers, but you can get one for probably about 10 bucks from Home Depot or Lowe's or even Walmart. I got a set with several different bits for, like I said, probably about 10 bucks. And for this part, there's a bunch of little screws you have to take out, and they are the 4 screws here on the bottom. There's a screw right there, a screw right there, and right there, and right there, and right there. So the idea here is that the base is in 2 pieces, 2 halves. So we're trying to open it up wide enough to remove this charger port piece because it's shaped that it doesn't just pull out easily. There's a little piece inside preventing it from doing that. So we're trying to open it up wide enough to take that out. So we're going to take out those screws now, and we'll be right back. Okay, so the reason why we took all the screws out of the base and the bottom of the Peak was so that we could separate these 2 halves just enough so that we have enough clearance for, let's see if I can get a shot here, that little tab on the top of the plastic charger port to come out. And it wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't open it up and give it enough space to do that. So all that's left to do at this point is take this little plastic piece out of the charger port, just like that. And now we can just set this to the side, set the Peak back together, and put all these screws back in again. So all we had to do was take out that little plastic piece. Okay, so now we've screwed the 2 halves of the base back together. But before we put the bottom plate back on, which is the last thing we're going to do, we're going to put the silicone sleeve back on. And before I do that, I like to roll up the bottom first like this to make it easy on myself. Just like that. And then I like to put the atomizer connector in first and get that settled into place. So you can see it pop out of the hole here. Just like that. And then you just have to roll it down the rest of the way. Just like that. After we do that, we put the silicone nice and tight, grab the metal band. Again, starting with the atomizer connector. Then you fit it down just like that, making sure the Puffco logo goes into the holes. Just like that. And then pull the silicone up where the glass goes in. Now we've got that in, we can take the plastic piece for the charger port with the longer part up top. And just fit that inside and click it in. And there you go. Okay, so now that we've got it all put back together and the bottom screwed back on, we just take this little silicone bottom, this little sticker, put the 4 feet back into the holes, like that. Then we just put the atomizer back in and put the top back on, power back up, and there you go. So that's how you deep clean your Puffco Peak Pro and get it looking day one brand new again. Obviously it's good cosmetically, but it's just good for the life of the device to do this maybe once every 2,000 dabs or so, just to keep those internals clean and to get the longest life out of your $400 device. So that's it for the video. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed watching it, and we'll catch you on the next one.